Girl gave a toy to a dumb boy, and after 5 minutes, no one could hold back their tears. When a woman brings a box of toys to a group home, she meets a boy who is the carbon copy of her late husband. She decides to adopt the boy, only to find out that the boy was more than just her husband's look-alike. Marla and Toby married each other just months after meeting for the first time. They were head over heels in love with one another and were sure that they wanted to spend the rest of their lives as husband and wife. Toby proposed to Marla and decided to tie the knot in a simple civil ceremony with only their parents and siblings in the audience. In the months following their wedding, they tried really hard to have children, but they just couldn't conceive. Marla and Toby spent the next couple of months making the most out of their time together. They traveled, spent all holidays together, and visited group homes to spend time with kids. "In another life, this is how I would have loved for us to spend the rest of our lives, Toby." Marla cried one day as she cradled a young baby in her arms. "Us with our kids." She started to daydream before her eyes filled with tears. By then, she could no longer stop sobbing. "Why did it have to be you? Why us?" she cried, asking again and again. By then, Toby's health had started to deteriorate and he could no longer go anywhere without his oxygen tank. In just a span of a few short weeks, he was bedridden and eventually died in his sleep. "No more pain, my love. I love you," Marla cried. Months passed after Toby's death and Marla couldn't cope with the loss. She tried her best to take her mind off things by visiting the same group home she and Toby used to visit. One day, a couple of days before Christmas, Marla visited the group home with new toys and books for the children. She loved spending time with them as it reminded her of better days with Toby. While looking around, she suddenly spotted a new boy about the age of 4 in the midst of all the children playing. "It can't be," she whispered to herself. The boy looked exactly like Toby did when he was younger, with hazelnut brown eyes, porcelain skin with freckles, and chocolate brown hair. It was like looking straight at a younger Toby. "Who is he?" she decided to ask one of the group home administrators. "I haven't seen him here before." "That's Tony," they revealed. "His mom died about a year ago, and unfortunately, his foster family didn't choose to adopt him and could no longer afford to keep him with them, so he's back here," he explained. "What about his father? Do you know who he is?" The administrator shook his head. "He didn't have a dad on his birth certificate, just a mom," he revealed. It was then Marla decided to approach Tony to get to know him a little bit. "Hi there, I'm Marla," she smiled at him. "I brought some toys and books for all the kids. Do you want some of them?" Tony flashed a big smile, showing one dimple on the right side of his cheek, the same that Toby had. "Toys, yes, I want a toy and some books. Thank you, you're so kind," the young boy said. After staring into each other's eyes with big smiles on their faces, Marla could feel herself growing attached to Tony. He not only reminded her of Toby, but she had always wanted a child, and now it seemed like she'd finally found a son in Tony. "When I saw his eyes, I knew it just couldn't be a coincidence," she revealed. Months later, when the process was completed, Marla invited all of her family members to dinner, including Toby's family, to meet the boy. When her mother-in-law Mara entered the house, Marla noticed how the older woman's face changed when she saw Tony. "Doesn't he look exactly like Toby?" Marla asked, thinking she was just surprised to see how much the boy resembled her son in childhood. The dinner went smoothly, and Tony couldn't be happier to be surrounded by so many family members. "I've never had a big family like this," he admitted. That night, Tony went to sleep with a big smile on his face. "I love you, Mom. Thank you for being my family," the young boy said before going to sleep. The next morning, Marla's mother-in-law unexpectedly showed up on their doorstep again. "I have something to tell you," she said quietly. Marla asked her to come in and prepared a cup of coffee for her. "What is it, Mom?" "When she arrived in our home, she had a big belly that one could spot from meters away. She was 8 months pregnant at the time," Mara explained. At this point, Marla could feel her stomach twisting. "And that child was Toby's?" she asked her mother-in-law. Marla couldn't believe what her mother-in-law was saying, but she couldn't deny the gut feeling that Tony was Toby's son. "When I saw his eyes, I knew it just couldn't be a coincidence," she revealed. That night, Marla decided to look for one of Toby's old hairbrushes to get some strands of hair so she could get a DNA test for him and Tony. Despite what she found out, she never treated Tony differently, and the two of them still spent most of their time together. Weeks later, Marla received DNA test results that confirmed Tony was Toby's son. At first, Marla was overwhelmed with emotions and couldn't stop crying. Her thoughts were racing with so many different thoughts until Tony walked up to her and hugged her. "You look sad, Mom. Please don't be sad. I love you," he said, tightening his grip on Marla. It was then that Marla smiled. She was happy that even though Toby never got to meet his son, she was now able to care for him on his behalf. "I love you, sweetheart, more than you'll ever know," she replied. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel where you'll find many more interesting things. Give us a like and share in the comments what you thought about this story.